Hey, it's Cash Flow Mike, and this is Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. I'm Mike Mylan, and that is my partner, Blaine Burks. Blaine, what's going on, man?
Oh man, nice to finally be down. We're getting started a little later today than usual. All my fault. So it's nice to sit down, relax, have a beer, and BS.
I'm actually kind of glad. I thought about taking a nap, but instead I just kind of kick back and watch some TV. And I don't watch a lot of TV, but I found it kind of relaxing.
It's funny when the schedule gets out of whack a little bit and gives you a little bit of time. It's like that never happens, right? It's just a gift.
Yeah, and I try. I'm like, hey, I'm not, because I could have jumped into another project, and yeah, I'm sure you've been there before. You're like, I got enough time to do it, but then I'll get time warped, right?
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
decided to do nothing. I decided to
Yeah.
do nothing.
That sounds like a good plan. Speaking of projects, you're gonna love this segue. The Brewing Project.
Okay.
So I'm
All
like,
right.
as soon as you said project, I'm like, nice, I got it in.
Yeah, there you
This
go.
my beer this week. It's now I didn't realize it was called this when I grabbed it out of the fridge because now I'm embarrassed to say it's called the Smoofee. Um, and it's the
All
Brewing
right.
Project Smoofee Sour Imperial Sour Ale with pineapple, mango, mandarin, and vanilla. And I got to tell you, I wanted to pick one of these Brewing Project ones because boy, it doesn't really taste like beer, but it is so good. It is just so good. It's like a punch. You know, you go to a punch bowl at like a wedding or
Yeah.
something, you got that
Yeah.
but it's way better than that, but it's really good stuff.
All right. So I have a new prop because you did something good on Segway.
Nice.
You do that?
Nice. Little bell. For those of you listening, that was a little bell. I don't know if I heard it though.
It's like a hotel counter bell, right? Like ding, 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 ding. I'm thinking if you did that, it's
Nice.
going to be crazy. Yeah, that could be really annoying real fast. I just thought about
But
that.
it's fun the first time anyway. So what
Yeah.
do you got
All
going?
right. All right. So I got to tell you, sometimes I'm a sucker for marketing. I got to tell you, good marketing, a good something that just kind of draws me in. That's how I felt, and I haven't this year, but that's how I fall for the McRib every time it comes back. Like, oh yeah, I forgot I don't like these.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep buying them over and over again. But speaking of good marketing, a company out of Ohio called let me get it right here. Uh, I can't read it. That's what the problem is. I memorized it, now I can't read it. Oh, it's called BrewDog. BrewDog Brewing. Oh, I don't know why I
Ooh.
couldn't see that. Look what I couldn't read. BrewDog, right?
Okay, man. Yeah, you got to get
I'm
another set
looking
of
on the
glasses.
side right here trying to say who does this? Yeah, BrewDog. But look at this. All right, so they have partnered with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation
Nice.
for a pecan and toffee stout called It's a Beaut.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I'm like going, oh my God, I gotta get that, right? I mean, when you see this, you have to get it because you don't know if you'll ever see it again.
Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna have to look for that one. That sounds like fun. And is it heavy, light, not too bad?
Well, I haven't opened it yet. Let's open it together.
I realized the other reason I picked Smoofy for today is
Oh,
because I had like another half a dozen beer in the fridge, and the lightest one I have was I think 12%. Like I got all these barrel aged stouts that I piled into the fridge. I bet I got to even out my collection a little bit
hey,
here.
this is robust. This has a really nice flavor. The toffee is real permanent through. I mean, it
Yeah,
permeates it. So yeah,
nice.
it's really good.
That sounds. I'm gonna have to get one of those. I always like at least one or two of these little holiday beers, and yeah, that sounds like a good one.
7.5%. And now you gave me free
Yeah,
time, so I had pregame beers too. So I mean, it's going to be a great show.
gonna be a good one.
All right, so I tell you what. Let me tell you what we do here. I mean, we talk about business, beers, and bullshit, right? Three things. And if you haven't heard of us, go check us out. YouTube, Mike and Blaine. It's Nobody Told Me about Mike and Blaine. You can go to our website, mikeandblaine.com. And believe it or not, we have sponsors. I know you wouldn't think that, but we have sponsors. Our sponsor is mylifeinabook.com, and you'll be hearing about them a little bit later. And in the past, we've actually had breweries sponsor us. So if you want to do that, it doesn't even cost you money. All you have to do is provide a beer for 1 week each month, a different beer, right? So you sponsor the whole month. You can become the sponsor for December and just 4 beers. right?
Four
Four
beer.
beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, four beers,
I'll,
but there's got to
I'll,
be two beers at least. The last one gave us a 6 pack a week. You can
that's,
get
yeah.
that.
Shoot, if just bring a beer to my house and I'll cover you for a while. I'm not quite as
And the
picky.
thing is, with Rough House, I even drove and met them halfway.
Yeah. Yeah. We're willing to go to great lengths for beer. So keep that in mind. We can sponsor and like I said, free beer and you get a free plug and we get a free beer. So that works out. Works out
Yeah,
good.
and if you're a listener who doesn't make your beer, like Pat, remember Pat from last
Yeah,
week?
Pat.
If you're a listener who doesn't make their beer, guess what? You can still buy us a beer. Just go to buy us a beer and click and done it. And we've had people do that. We've had several beers bought. So it's been really,
Yes.
really an interesting thing. And you can be the next. And we talk about you on air.
Yeah, and it's mikeandblaine.com, buy us a beer button. So
yeah, there you go. All right. So here's what we're talking about today. Here's today's topic. The original quote, and I always read the original, right? Because then we shorten it to what we want it to be. But the original quote, again, I read Hoffman, so it's real weird that we're kind of, you stay kind of with the same folks because, they're thought leaders for a reason, right?
Yeah.
No matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you'll always lose out to a team, right? So, and what I shortened it to for this episode was, even smart people lose to a team. So let's kind of unpack that a little bit. What are you thinking? What comes to your mind first?
Well, it's I've learned that over the years, over and over and over again, how important people are, and it's how important. It's interesting. Like we're talking about you have to have a team to even compete. I think that's absolutely true. You have to have a team of really smart people to compete, and a lot of times we're talking about how valuable really great people are on your team, and also sometimes how damaging people that aren't effective are on your team. But to go at something completely alone because you're smart is not going to cut it. Like there's just no way. It's if you get the right people, two people can do the work of four individuals. It's just that's how it works.
Yeah, I always think about that. It says, it always reminds me of that quote that none of us is as smart as all of us. Right? You ever heard that? You put somebody in the room. Teams thrive because there's all these ideas. And if you're open to it, and if you can hear somebody else's idea, a lot of times it makes your idea better, right? Because you can see how it connects. It's such a cool thing to be in a room with a whiteboard. That's one of the things I miss most about being in the office is the whiteboard, a conference table, ideas being flown out everywhere. And we don't know where they're going yet, but you just start to see the themes. You start to see the connections. Yeah,
I totally agree. Like that it is something I really miss. My last business, when we had an agency, we got 2 4x8s that were side by side. And then I think we had a standing one as well. That's how much we used whiteboards. Like you're up there and there's, it was such a energizing time to be able to work. And the way we work is different now technically, but it's still very collaborative. And I think it comes from the roots of that whiteboard atmosphere, right?
It had to be the reason why Zoom put a whiteboard in. Right?
Zoom is a whiteboard? I did not know.
Yeah, if you didn't know it, it's actually really cool. Like when you go to share screen, instead of sharing your screen, you can just share a whiteboard and use it like you would,
Oh man.
It's not, you don't get to smell the dry erase markers and stuff like that, but
yeah. That's interesting. I didn't even know that was there. Like because we've got our own little tools and stuff that we use for everything. That was one that I didn't even know was there. I'm going to bring that up tomorrow. It's kind of a fun one to play with. So.
Yeah, but it's got to be the reason why, because people like going, what's missing? Why is virtual working different? And me, I just told the story. I'm in a room. I got a whiteboard. I got this, and Zoom's like going, oh, we're in a room virtually. We need a virtual whiteboard.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like how we work a lot is like we'll be working like right now we're working with a designer, a super talented guy. Again, like talking about team, a super talented guy that I used to work for me years ago. Stuck around, is helping with us with some stuff right now, and it's the whole team is sometimes involved, but it's mostly my co-founder Tark and I and Cameron, and we'll pop onto Slack and Zoom, and we've got we got stuff on Zoom and they got stuff on Slack, and we have like comps coming up and chatter going on. But what's really neat, what's different than a whiteboard, and I didn't really think of it till now, but the one thing that's different is we can talk in a meeting, but then there's stuff going on in Slack, almost like text messages. It's like as it happens, as something, it's like something will pop up, we can have a little response to it. And so it's like this trickling in over days. And so it's not, you don't have to do everything in one sitting. It's like you get to sit and then you got to go back and revisit and you get to sleep on it. But it's this constant energy and constant move forward, which I think is really cool, that it's hard to do with a whiteboard in a room.
Yes. All right. So, but how would you describe the energy, right? About being with a group outside of just like, I've made ideas and products and, lined them all out on my own, but then I introduce it to somebody else and it changes. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, meaning I think there's an energy that happens, especially when somebody gets it. When you can see it in their eyes, they're like going, oh my God, yeah, I see where you're going with this. And they go, blah, blah, blah. And they add 5 more layers on it you hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
There's an energy that happens.
Oh, there is. And, but I didn't realize till now, like how much we've sort of matched that or mimic that. And there are some benefits to doing it virtually that I didn't really think of till now either. But we've just got like constant threads and comps going back and forth and little marking it up and sending it back. And it's a little bit different, but it gets to the same place, I guess. And it's just, I don't know. It's like we've been doing it now for a few years, right? So it's become second nature. And, I kind of wonder now if we went back to a whiteboard, if I would be like, oh, just grab your laptop because we want to look at some mock-ups. We want to look at the typography. We want to there's stuff you can't do on a whiteboard, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why at Finnegraph, we had the whole wall of whiteboards like you're describing. Mm-hmm. And then on the opposite end, at the end of the conference table, was a 65-inch, screen.
Yeah.
Whereas we're connected as we're drawing it up, like, oh, what do you think about this? Try it, or look something up so we're not lying.
Yeah.
We say this, so you've got the digital connection has to happen with the physical whiteboard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but honestly, I have a notebook beside me 24/7.
I'm still this guy, right? I'm still, still buying books.
I have this is just every single day I have notes going on paper, and I can't get, that's exactly it. I can't divorce myself from paper, and I'm such a nerd that I have to have multiple colors because I like to highlight things and draw things out, and so I've just always got shit going on right beside me.
Funny, I bought 2 iPads. I paid for a couple of different note-taking apps. I don't know what it is. There's something where, and I'm sure it goes back to, it takes X number of hours to break a habit, right? Or days or something like that. There's something like if you're eating bad, it takes so many days of eating clean before you don't think about eating bad.
Yeah.
Never make it. I get frustrated the first meeting. I'm like, I'm missing half the stuff.
Yeah.
We go right back to
and I'm on, I have this iPad Pro that is always beside me. Usually, right now it's not, but it's usually right beside me, and I use it for email and all stuff. And I read a ton on it. That's what I do the most on it. I even have an Apple Pencil. I've done some little flow charts and stuff with it, but it can't replace this paper beside me. And it seems to be sort of a context where some stuff I have to do on paper, and I've tried everything. I've tried to-do lists. I've tried all this stuff. You know what I do? I go right back to paper every single time. I don't know why. Just do.
What's happened with the iPad for me though? A couple of cool times it's happened is I'm taking notes, I'm writing. Then they got this app that I got is I don't know, text to type, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning it can convert it to text. My writing convert to text. and then I'll screenshot like a slide. I'm paying attention to somebody. I'll screenshot a slide and attach it to the note. So I got, okay, here's what I thought, or here's what the speaker
Yeah.
said, and here's the slide he was referring to, and that worked for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still hard. It's hard for
It
me to get into the pattern all the time.
it somehow makes logical sense, and I've tried it and I've gone for little sprints with it, and I always go back to paper, and I can't quite get away from that. And and something I've noticed is I've started to balance out digital with analog in a lot of cases. So like I'm on Spotify a lot. I'm in the backyard. I'm like, we got that going. We're in the car. We've got podcasts going. When I'm in my office, I've got my record player right there, and I only listen to records, and it sounds like they sound unbelievable. I am like, I was telling you, I just got back off of a bike ride. We just picked up some bikes, and so I have my Apple Watch on, and but I virtually always have an analog watch. I only wear this biking so that I don't smash my nice analog watch, right? Um, and and then also same thing. It's like I've got laptop, phone, iPad, extra monitor over. I got all this stuff, but I can't live without my paper and my notepad. And so it's this weird, like it's like you have to balance the digital with the analog. Is how I feel somehow.
Right, so I don't have one, but this thing called Remarkable, I thought was supposed to help bridge that gap from the guy that still wants to write on paper but wants his notes to be digital. Have you seen it? I've never even seen one in person, but
I haven't. You know what the difference is? This thing is full, and I don't need any of it 2 or 3 days later. Sometimes I'll flip back because I'm like, oh, I jotted down a phone number or something and I'll need it. But this is stuff that, maybe that's the difference. This doesn't need a life. Like this is generally kind of my to-do list and a few like phone numbers and who I'm about to go on and talk with in a meeting and a little background on them. I don't need that. I don't need it recorded, because all it does is then I have more and more and more data that it's too much, right?
I know exactly what that is, right? Because there's different ways to learn. Some people learn by just seeing it. Some people can hear it. Some people have to say it. Like, I have to read it to myself out loud. But you and I are probably the same. We learn kinetically, which is when I take my pencil and I put it on paper, I don't know how it happens, but it travels up my arm, through my elbow, into my shoulder, and boom, it sticks in my brain. So once I write it down, chances are higher that I'm going to remember it later.
Yeah.
So I don't need the paper. Every once in a while I'll go back. Oh yeah, I remember that. And you know what's funny? I started keeping another little one. It's just a little thing here, because every once in a while there's like a principle of life that I hear. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. That's really great.
Yeah.
Like the one that I heard the other day. This one here was, what you shine your light on tends to grow. Right. So I'm like going, and here was the context. When I'm thinking about bad things, when I'm worried about a problem, I mean, it's just like it's anxiety, and it's, or I'm focused on something, that's not great in my life, doesn't bring good in. When I shine my light on it, it tends to grow. It's a big problem, or it's bigger in my life than it needs to be. And to me, I'm like going, and that's a weird, just psychological thing for me, but I like what you shine your light on tends to grow. So I like that as a philosophy.
Yeah. I think there's the part of focus and being overwhelmed in that too, that I think is really important, because digital is sort of endless. Like there's so much stuff. And that's like I'm saying, like you can't save everything, because it becomes so cluttered that you can't get to anything. Like you can say, yeah, I can search for it, but it doesn't help. And I agree with you, like, because I've done this before where I've wrote notes. Like I'll go on, I'm at a conference and they'll be saying stuff and I'm jotting stuff down, I'm writing stuff down. And I agree with you. It gets into my brain. I need to see it and I need to write it. I don't need to say it. I need to see it and write it. And then I'll get back maybe from a conference and I'll be like writing up some notes. I'm like, this guy was awesome. I got to get a few notes and I'm going to drop this into Slack for the team or Notion or whatever. And what's interesting is I'll have pages and pages of notes. I'll distill it down to like 6 sentences, right? Because it's like, then it's like all the all the detail into that. I'm just grasping the bigger concept. And once I grasp the bigger concept, it's like, yeah, it's this. Just here it is, right?
Oh, do you think that's the secret sauce? Think about the group though, the team. When all this information is coming in, it's about distilling that information because
Yeah,
not all of it's good. Some of it's garbage,
yeah,
But I think it's the ability to distill that makes the team great because you by yourself, you have a limited number of inputs. You as a
yeah,
team, you've got a wider array of inputs that you can distill into a better idea.
yeah. And like, because you could you imagine if everyone on the team was jotting like too long didn't read. That's what I live by, especially if an email comes in and it's this long. I'm like, too long, didn't read,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
It's same sort of thing. And I don't know if a team could function if everyone was just grabbing and piling more. It becomes a dumping ground. I remember at one time we were using, like years ago, we were using Basecamp. And we finally just threw up our hands, went, nope, just flush it all down because it had become a digital dumping ground of so much stuff. And, finally when we had sort of shifted over to other systems and then I went back and went, okay, what's useful in here that I need to grab and can move to the new system? And it's like, pretty much nothing. There just was very little in there that at that point was necessary.
Yeah. So let me take an opposite point of view now. So, is there a time when the team is too much of a distraction? I can just do it on my own, right? I think there is. I think there's a point in time where you're like, I think I could do this faster, better, and execute, at a more higher level than this whole team can.
Oh, there absolutely is. And there's times, but it's having the team frees me up to do that. Cause I know like, here's the parts that I'm good at. Here's the parts I should be doing. If the team is doing the stuff they're really good at and that they should be doing, I can focus on that. And then there are times where it's like, this isn't even in my, like wearing multiple hats. This isn't even in my thing to do, but I'm just, like you said, by the time I explain it to anyone, it's going to be done. So let's just go and do it. But a lot of times that's very technical, right?
Yeah. So okay, so the main quote is that even the smartest idea, the smartest person can be beat by a team. Why is it? Is it the? It's got to be execution, right? It's got to be speed to market. It's got to be testing, experimenting, adjusting. It's
Yeah.
got to be the execution that makes the team better than the individual. What else?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like that is literally, you just can't out execute a team. And we all know, like you and I've talked about endlessly, ideas are worthless. Like ideas are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Like you've all heard that a million times. Now, the idea is critical to the point that if you have to have a good idea, but that's just the prereq. That's you have to have that. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. But execution is where the success comes. And there's just no way, I don't care how smart you are, you're going to be able to execute. And smart, see, that's the other thing is you can't be smart at everything. And how many times you get this feeling that like you've heard before how smart professors are. And it's this idea that as a professor or a doctor, they're really smart. They must know everything. It's kind of the opposite. They're the ultimate in specialists. So they are incredibly smart in their one area of research or their one area of expertise because they've had to be. They've spent 10 years on this. But that's what they're good at. And a lot of times, and we all know friends like this that are kind of a bit of the nutty professor-ish, they're so smart in one area, but they've never paid attention to anything else. So you need a bunch of people that are smart in their area, and you probably need some big picture thinkers to move them around and get them all moving in the same direction.
Hey, yeah, I mean, that smartest doctor is just an individual. It's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, but without a team, he's nobody, right?
Yeah.
He's even struggling this year because his team isn't as strong as it's been in the past.
Yeah. 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 It's a perfect example. I don't like, we all know like the superstars that, well, Wayne Gretzky didn't win every single place he was in.
Hey, LeBron doesn't win everywhere he goes.
Yeah, exactly. Like even like this year, like I don't follow basketball enough, but I know I've heard they're struggling a bit, and because he doesn't have the players around him. I might be making that up because I really don't follow basketball. I think I heard that somewhere.
I don't know. I don't follow it either.
Okay, well, there were.
I just know that he didn't win in Cleveland. He didn't win. There's places he didn't win. So
yeah.
I think even with the Lakers, he didn't win every championship. So you need that other people around you. I mean, so even the smartest, brightest, best athletic, those people can't win without the team.
Yeah, and even smart. Man, sometimes like really great execution, you don't have to be smart. That's not what, a lot of times with really great execution, it's because you're focused, you're driven, you're like you prioritize, like there's all these other things. Smart a lot of times doesn't come into it, right?
You know what I like about execution? You brought that up. One of my favorite movies that I look to for an example of execution. You ever watch the movie The Dirty Dozen?
Oh yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah, I definitely did. Yeah,
I mean, everything, the whole thing was a rehearsal for the one big mission, right? The whole thing is like, and they turned it into a song first, or like a poem, right? First we do that, then we do this. I mean, it's just like they all repeat it. I mean, as a team, so every person, had an integral part. When one person failed, the whole plan was going to fail. So it's that you had to know what every person had to do in that whole scenario.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was about they spent months on rehearsals for minutes of execution.
Yeah.
But as a team, right? As a team, nobody could have carried it off the way they did.
Yeah, and it's like you see that in every corner of life, and I think those are good examples when you're looking at like you're talking about sports and talking about you see that like you have the best goalie in the world, but you still have to have like each person has their role, the center, the wing, that everyone has their role. How do you compete with that as an individual? And so when you're looking at it running a business or especially a startup, as you're trying to grow a startup, how could you possibly do that without having your team? And I'll even extend that to your coaches and your support staff and everything else. From a sports perspective, from a business perspective, I'm like, we have our core team. We also have advisors. We have contractors. And all of these people are contributing, suppliers, and they're all contributing tons and tons of value. And we just being smart can't replace any of that.
So, all right, recently I was on playing with a college football team. Sounds pretty cool. They just won a big game. They were undefeated, leading their conference.
Yeah.
We get to the airport, and I got checked luggage because I've been on a longer trip. Well, they have checked luggage.
Oh.
Now, yeah, it's bad, right? Because I think whatever the reason, they got priority and it got put out first.
Yeah.
Now, being in the military, I'm like, okay, what I do is I send some folks up there, says, you grab them. If it's our bag, you just grab a bag. Doesn't have to be yours, and get out of there, right? They clogged up this whole baggage claim for 20 minutes because they were calling out everybody's name as one guy, saw it. They would yell it all around. Grab the bags, take them somewhere else, stage them, and then you find your own bag. Right? Hey, it doesn't matter. You come up one at a time, grab a bag, take it somewhere else, and we'll figure out where they are, where they go next.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's an execution problem. That's a leadership problem. So and the reason I say that is part of this, meaning that all you had to do was say, no, everybody lined up in a single file line. You go up there, you grab a bag that's got our logo on it, and you take it back. And then we'll sort them out, outside of all these other people. But now you got 60 people trying to get these big football bags, and they're all it really was a hassle. I think if they just grabbed one and left and then sorted it out, on the parking lot or wherever, they could have been fine.
That kind of goes to the other side of the board where you just need one smart person. So it actually says you can have a team, but man,
give me a plan.
Yeah, you need some smart person in there.
The military side of it, right? That's the military side of me, because that's the way we would have done it. So it don't matter if your name's on or not. We're all going to the same place. Grab it. So let's take it somewhere and we'll sort it out.
Well, and it's just like that's like you need a team of really smart people, but it is like that is the importance of it's not just like that's the only thing I kind of would obviously the quote doesn't go longer and longer and longer. Um, but it doesn't talk about you have to have a really good team made of smart people. If you have a bunch of people that aren't good teammates, then it can actually start to go backwards. It can start going the other direction.
Well, yeah, that's a whole different thing. And I think after this break, we're going to take a little break, recognize our sponsor. After this break, I want to talk about the breakdown of the team. At what point in time is it counterproductive? Right. So,
Yeah.
But right now, let me introduce you to mylifeinabook.com. They are today's sponsor, and it's probably the most thoughtful gift I've ever come across for parents or grandparents. It doesn't matter who it is or what time of day it is or what time of year it is. It could be their birthday even. And Christmas is coming up, so perfect time right now. So it's basically a very powerful way to connect emotionally and preserve the most precious moments and memories that you have in your family's life. You can really show them that you care. And best of all, it's instantaneous gift. You can get it right now, even at the last minute, but don't wait till the last minute. Get right now.
And every week, mylifeinabook.com lets you choose from a list of thought-provoking questions or even write your own, which gets sent to your relative by email, not snail mail, if you're a mistake there. Your relative writes their answer and can choose to add a meaningful picture. This happens every week, and at the end of 1 year, all the stories get combined in a beautiful keepsake book that you can store your relatives' memories forever, pass them on to future generations, and they're just printed out and sent to you.
Yep. And guess what? You can request as many copies as you want. You can even get it in audio format. And so with mylifeinabook.com, you can give those you love the most personal gift you could ever give them that tells them they're meaningful and their memories mean something to you. So to save $10 off your first purchase, go to mylifeinabook.com and use the discount code NOBODY at checkout. That's mylifeinabook.com and use discount code NOBODY to get $10 off your first purchase.
Now, this was a place where analog would have let me down because I went to grab my iPad where I have the script, and of course it wasn't here. I don't know where it is. So I grabbed my phone and have the script on the phone because it's up in the cloud. And for those of you watching the YouTube video, you probably saw me looking through the bottom so I could get through the progressives here and try and read the little itty bitty type on my phone. So there's where technology saved the day.
You probably saw me do this.
Yeah, I do it paper, which would be a lot easier to read. But
that's why I keep it right there, right? Because it's right on top. I just go, oh, here it is.
There you go.
That's what I've got to tell you. Have you got yours yet?
Pardon me?
Have you got yours yet? Put you on the spot.
Oh no, I haven't. Oh man, I'm
gonna buy one. All right, but I was waiting. All right, so I got family coming in for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Next week. So I was gonna wait next week, get it, and then give them their first question next week.
That's good. I got some relatives that are traveling right now, but it sounds like a really good idea. So I think we may. It's an awesome idea. So I think we'd like to do that too because I think it'd be a pretty awesome gift, and I just find it fascinating. I think the once a week quicks questions I think are just brilliant. I just think it's so smart.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's got to become a habit. You almost got to set a calendar, reminder. Oh, send your questions to your family. Just remind you. I mean, it's not going to be hard to do. I don't think it's just got to be. You got to do it, right?
Yeah,
you just got to do
it. So you wanted to talk team.
Yeah, because I mean, it brought it up, right? Because in the case of the airport, the team was like chaotic, which means there wasn't an organization, there wasn't a plan, and this is their 8th or 9th game of the year. You'd like going, you should be used to this by now. How do we move gear? When I see the local high school band move their equipment on the field, off the field, I'm like going, that's the people that got together. That's a group that got together and says, this is how we have to orchestrate moving this equipment. Yeah. Because they got minutes. They got minutes to move 100 people on and off the field with props, with instruments, with drums, with xylophones, with everything else.
Yeah.
Is there a point in time though when, because look, two different groups, almost around the same amount of people, both of them with opposite plans, one without a plan or with a poor plan, one with a very well organized plan.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's, we've talked about this before, like boundaries is what leads to innovation. And so when you have the marching band on the field, and it's like, you guys got 30 seconds to get off this bloody field. 30 seconds to get, okay, we'll figure it out. The problem is there just isn't a whole lot of pressure from the team, because they're like, the bus isn't going to leave without us, so there's whatever. But it annoys everybody,
Yeah, that's right. There's a lack of social awareness, like going, oh yeah, nobody's going to like our college after this, or at least this group of people, right? That's what I would think. I mean, your brand has to mean something in the public.
Yeah.
Everything you have has your logo on it. So I might not know your name, but I know your school.
Yeah. And that's where you expect, first of all, the coaches, the equipment manager, or even the captain, one of the captains on the team, to go, come on, guys, smarten up, go grab that,
Yeah, exactly. You would think even on the fly, somebody make a shift. But as soon as they make a shift, guess what happens? It becomes procedure. And they're going, next time we're going to do it this way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they've ever been in that position because, again, 8th or 9th game of the year and a school that's been around for decades, somebody doesn't have a procedure.
Yeah. It's almost shocking when you think of how many teams, how many years, how many trips they haven't figured out a better way to do it.
Yeah, just look at the military people coming in. What they do, because they don't want to just hang around, right? Nobody in the military at the airport, they don't want to just hang around.
I am curious now, what like Army or Navy, if they got on the plane, off the plane, I bet you they have it. I'm just guessing, but I wonder if they actually have it, a totally different system, just dialed in, just get her done.
I just told you what it was. You grab a bag that looks like ours.
No, but I'm wondering if they are doing that right now. Like if those teams are actually doing it.
I bet. Oh, right there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I bet at those schools, there's a procedure. They probably practice that procedure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a big difference in organized, disciplined teams versus just, loosey goosey type leadership. Those little things matter. And I'm telling you, again, I got a military background. When I see the local high school band, the way they send us an agenda. X minute we do this, X minute we do that, X minute I mean, it's planned out to the minute on when they load the bus, what they do in the bus, what they get off the bus, where they're on the field, where they go to this. Everything is planned out for the whole day or whole practice, every minute.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's like that. You've seen it happen in college football or pro football. It's like, we're going to do 7 minutes of this. We're going to do 15 minutes of that. We're going to do 3 minutes of this. Why can't we be that disciplined, picking up our stuff from the airport?
Yeah. But I got to tell you, like, and I don't know if this is typical of entrepreneurs, but I'll tell you that it's if it was like, here's your schedule, we do this, you get on the bus here, go there. My response would be, I'm just going to drive myself. Like, I was like, nope, not doing it. I don't react well to that.
Yeah, this is the logistical movement, though. Everybody has to kind of play their part. You can't just say, that's a dumb play, I'm not going to do it.
No, I know, but my natural inclination is I don't really like rules. So it's like, here's what you got to do, and you got to do this. I'm like, no, but what I admire the most about that, because what I really value in that is, this is how you do it right. It's a shortcut. That has huge value. Sort of procedure and rules for procedure and rules sake. That's where I struggle a little bit.
But they probably have that same discipline in their football practices. They probably have that same discipline in their football plays, right? A wide receiver that's out there on the field doesn't say that. I don't think we should call that play, so I'm just going to sit out.
Yeah.
They just don't do it that way. So the same discipline that you've instilled in the performance of your sport or your art, do it in everything about that team, right? Just I think it's just that's what the military does. It doesn't matter if it's shining your shoes or executing some difficult maneuver. It's the same level of discipline that we do it this way because it works.
Yeah. So let's circle back to so
what was we talking about? Oh yeah.
Yeah, where did we start? But like
no one is smarter than a group. I think that's what we said.
Yeah, like the ones I think it just still there's not a whole places in life where you have an individual that's just smart is going to excel over a team. I don't think there's a lot of places that do that. Like I really struggle to think of something that's truly completely individual, even an individual sport. And it's like, yeah, it's an individual sport. Look, all my coaches, trainers, and everything else that are behind me and that have got me where I'm going. The brilliant surgeon with a whole pile of people all around him in the surgical suite doing it. There's not a whole lot that I think you can excel at if you're trying to win by yourself, like on your own. I think that's just it's challenging, right?
You just reminded me of, it takes a village, not just to raise a child, to be an athlete, to be a surgeon, to be, to be a leader in your own company. You need other people to make that happen.
Yeah. And the interesting part of that quote that I just sort of dawned on me is it's not like in a literal sense, you can't sort of do it on your own just because you're really smart. But I actually think a bigger part of that quote is because virtually every business is going to be part of a team. What I think it really speaks to is how successful the team is, how good your individuals are on the team, how well they play together or work together, drive together. Because if you're trying to do everything on your own, you could have literally, I think a lot of these companies, that's where they can fail. They can have all sorts of people, they're paying them. There's lots of money going out the door, but it's an individual is trying to micromanage and do everything themselves that fails.
Yeah, and I think here's the sentence that somebody will say that makes that so true. They'll come up with the greatest idea in the world. They'll go, I got blah, and they'll tell you something you're like, it blows your mind. They'll follow it up with, I don't know how to get it done. I don't know how to do it. I'm missing some pieces, but we need to do this together, right? I mean, it's that I'm missing it. I'm missing some pieces. I don't know how to do it. That's the reason why a team works better.
Oh, absolutely. Like we wouldn't be anyway. Like there's zero chance Dry1 would be a thing without a team. Like there's no chance, none. Even if you're a developer and you fancy yourself a designer and you think you can build something, there's so many other parts, there's so many other things that have to go right to be a success. You just can't do it by yourself. There's no way.
Even if you're a developer, you might not be a great marketer, which means I can build great shit.
Can't sell.
Don't know how to make people want it.
Yeah. And even if there was some kind of freak of nature that was so good at everything, there's only 24 hours in a day. So there's no way around it. But I do think it speaks a lot to how much you have to value your team. If you take them for granted, if you don't have the right people in place, you're not motivating them, like you're just not going to be a success.
All right. So what's one of the biggest things you learned today?
I think it just well, first of all, if I ever see a football team at the airport trying to pick up their bags and I'm waiting for one, I'm going to be the one to walk up to the front. You start grabbing bags.
Yeah. See, now I'm like cringing. I was actually excited a football team was on the plane, and now I'm like, oh man, a football team's on. Because I know I'm going to be behind them on the baggage line if I'm not carry-on.
You should have just walked up and did that. Hey, Junior, get over here. Start grabbing bags. Use your head.
I was making passive-aggressive, loud comments. If I was doing this, I'd be. What a good idea would be. I was talking to Courtney, and I was telling her, You know, a good idea if they just grab stuff and move it to the back over here and just organize it. I kept saying that over and over, and they're standing right next to me, but nobody's taking action.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different thing is if somebody's throwing ideas into the universe and you're not picking up on it.
Well, I can speak to a little bit of approaching it the passive aggressive way because Canadians are just amazing at that, like just epically good at that. So that's why I'm actually surprised that's the way you would, because that sounds like every Canadian would be like, oh, why don't they do it this way? But what you the way to do it is
to training. I have 65 hours of Canadian training.
And I will mention I got a comment the other day that your Texas accent for a Canadian can be hard to understand. That's hilarious. No, I got it. I did it, and I'm like, after all the shit I'm getting for Projekt, and I don't even remember all the other ones. Like, yeah, Mike's hearing about that one. That's a great one.
I think that's awesome. I think that's fantastic. You guys, that just means you love me. If you're starting to talk about me, you love me.
Exactly. It's just what they really, they're hanging on every ear. Every word. They want to hear exactly what you say. They want to understand every word, and it irks them when they don't understand. So there you go.
Hey, I'm just giving her up here, man. I'm just giving her.
Yeah. Well, see, that's great. The Canadians starting to seep in. Anyway, but it was a fun episode. This is a good topic, and it's hard. I guess this is the only issue I have with this topic. Now that we got to the end of the show, is it's really hard to debate it because there really just isn't a hell of a lot of another side. It's like outside of you have to have a good team, but it really is like you have to have a good team. You have to leverage that team.
Here's how I'm gonna sum it up. Even when I started my first business, I'm by myself doing everything myself. I knew instantly I needed others.
Yeah.
I knew instantly. I'm going, no, I can't do this. I can't. I might be able to clean one building by myself. How am I going to get the second one done? Or a third one or a fourth one? I knew instantly you need a team to succeed.
Yeah, you have to. Even like my first year on my own with my own little agency, when it was me, myself, and I, and it didn't take long to figure out. You can't execute on the types of projects that I want, the projects that I want, the bigger ones. You want to grow a business, you want to keep going up. You have to have people that are really smart and to be able to go out and work as a team and execute to be able to excel.
All right. So about a month ago, we had people buy these shirts called Just Giving Her or Buy Us a Beer.
I love that one.
Or even the Mike and Blaine, picture t-shirts. I mean, I've got one of those. So if you need merch, it's Christmas, right? It's coming up. If you need merch or somebody in your life needs a gift that they just cannot live without, like a Just Giving Her t-shirt, go to mikeandblaine.com, hit merchandise, buy the Just Giving Her, and we'll send it right to them.
Yeah. And it's so cool because this is really unique. It's not something nobody else, I can guarantee you, nobody else is going to have it because it's just, we don't sell enough for that, so you're going to have something super unique as a gift, and they're going to be lots of fun.
That's right. If you go to Target, everybody's got those.
Exactly. Yeah.
You go to mikeandblaine.com at Christmas time right now. There we go.
And our prices are probably better than Target. And while you're there, the savings you can put into buying us a beer.
Hey, should we do a coupon on merch for the holiday? What do you think?
Sure. Yeah. And let's make a code. We'll make a coupon code, and if you put the code in, then you code beer. I don't know, you get 10% off, something like that.
You are really trying to make this into a business. Using codes, having merch shops.
Okay, forget the code. We'll just put a sale on. Go check us out at mikeandblaine.com. You'll see the deal for Christmas.
There you go. All right. So, hey, appreciate it. YouTube, you're usually a YouTube guy, but go to YouTube. Check out our things. I mean, if you want to see what this voice looks like, maybe Canadians, if you could see my mouth move, you can interpret the words better.
Yeah, they have to watch. Okay, what's?
Huh?
And I'm working on my Americanese, so I can sound adjusting all my language to Projekt, and I don't even remember what the other ones are. I get help from you every other week for something.
YouTube captions this, all right?
I have no idea. Maybe, sure. Why not? YouTube captions it. Awesome.
Yeah, trust me, we don't do any planning or preparation. But this thing is the most raw show you probably have ever seen. But if they do it, you can just read it. You don't have to, you don't have to guess what we're saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
And make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe anywhere, because we're on all the podcast networks. We're on YouTube. You can subscribe to us, download us, listen to us. Make sure you click that button to subscribe, and you're gonna hear all these cool episodes. We just finished 65, so we're charging through. We're actually gonna make we might make 70 by the end of the year. That's pretty cool. We do this once a week.
I think so. So 70 by the end of the year, and then we start season 3.
Nice.
Season 3. Remember, we said we can duplicate brewers in season 3.
Yes, I probably
won't
won't
worry about that next year.
But
I'm not gonna worry about that.
I won't be quite as but I'll still try. There's so many cool breweries out there. I got to keep trying them, but I won't be as concerned if I duplicate one. So
yeah, right on. All right. Hey, another great one. 65 in the books. I'm Mike Mylan, also known as Cashflow Mike, and that is Blaine Birch. And if you've never seen the software, go look at dryrun.com. That's the man.